All right, everybody, it's Friday. It is Friday, April 1st, and I have no April Fool's jokes at all for you today, other than, I don't know, this fantastic project, I guess. I don't know. It is great to have everybody here on this. It looks like there are so many people watching. Hello, everyone. It's great to have everybody here. I can see that Janice is over on the YouTube channel doing some moderating. So good morning to you, Janice, or afternoon on the East Coast. And we're going to have a fun time today. I'm going to show you a couple of things before we get started. But this project, it's a great project. It's one that Emily did for us a while back, and it's called Entwined. And I've got some fun her samples here, and we're going to play. It looks like Gita is off today. She's at a concert enjoying herself. So we have Drea, I believe, over on the Facebook feed saying hello over there. So it's going to be a lively broadcast today, I think. So I thought, since we've gotten so many of these new 6mm in, we've got 6mm rounds that we've got in some really great stones, and we've got some 6mm Druks round. Oh, it's it's Carolyn. I see. Perfect, Caroline. Perfect. Well, either way, good to have you over there. But like I was saying, we've got these new Druks that we just love, and the new in new colorways. We're going to have some more coming in, so they're really really fun. And so I'm going to lead you through this. Emily did a really great handout for this. It was really it's very easy to follow, and it's a good thing because I could not remember how to do the project. So all I did was I downloaded and printed out uh, Emily's handout, followed it, and there we are. There we were. So pardon me while I lotion up here a little bit while I do this. Um, so um, so yeah, I think it's a fun one. It's a great one to make for yourself, or it's also a great guy bracelet. You know, the way that we close it, and I'll show you, we do it with a sliding knot, but you could also just go ahead and, glue those ends into a clasp, into like clasp ends or whatever. Those would work also as well. So, but, props to Emily. It was a really, really great project. So without further ado, without extolling the virtues of this bracelet any longer, let's go ahead and take a look at what I've got on my board in front of me. First, I want to start off by telling you, that on the first day of the month, that's when we release our monthly mixes. Oh, my board looks like a mess. What a surprise here. But our monthly mix just dropped today, and we call it Prima Ballerina. It is for the month of April. And the month of April, we're doing birth month flowers. And the flower for April is one of my very favorite flowers. It's a sweet pea. So this is the sweet pea mix that we've called Prima Ballerina. And it has some new beads in it that are also available as single tubes. And I just love it. I love it, love it, love it. So that just dropped today. And you guys are also loving it. The mixes that we have, our monthly mixes, are limited. We only do a certain amount of them. So if you love this mix, and it's all 8/0s, we did this one all 8/0s. We didn't mix anything else in them. And so it would be really fun for a loomed project, or whatever you love to do with the 8/0s. It'd be great for brick stitch, all that kind of stuff. So it's here. Okay, so it's really it's such a pretty mix. I love it, love it. The other thing that dropped, and you saw this, and I want to welcome our friends watching on the Great Beat Extravaganza social today. I dropped my kit for the Great Beat Extravaganza that's coming up next week. The preview night is on Friday, April 8th. And then my segment is the 9th, but it goes the 9th and the 10th. So I'll be on at 11 a.m. Pacific time on all of our social channels, but on the Great Beat Extravaganza as well. So these are you may remember I did this project a while back and I called it Expedition. So I made some kits. So I thought it would be fun to recreate these in 3 colorways. And we named them after women explorers and adventurers. And so here we have the 3 colorways. This one's called Sally. This one's called Amelia. And this one's called Bessie. And you're going to have to jump over to beadshop.com and look at these guys and see which adventures Sally, Amelia, and Bessie are named after. So there they are. It's real fun. I love these. And they're so easy to make. So on my segment, I'm going to show you again how to make these. I did this, I think, on a Free Tip Friday a while back, so we never really had a super formal broadcast for these. So I thought they would be a lot of fun to create. So I hope you like the colorways. These are pieces, leather that we don't carry in the shop online. So these are exclusive to the kits. And we also have kind of exclusive chain color in this Love of Lydia chain. This is the gunmetal that I used for this one for the Sally. So you can see they look great in the front and in the back. I love them. And I got a brand new clasp for the end as well. So the kits, again, are limited. So when they run out, they run out. But there is a recipe, and we do carry flat leather in a lot of different varieties. Okay, so those are coming. Trish just asked more of the Irish linen in the new colors. Yes, you guys loved that project that I did on Wednesday so much that we are out of Irish wax linen, but it's coming back in. Don't worry. We have it on order. Make sure that you put yourself on the notification list and you'll get an email as soon as that's back in. Okay. So, I'm really excited. I'm so excited about these, and they're great for the ladies and the gents. So I'm real pleased with them. We've got our buddy William from Allegory Gallery. William, you're watching this morning. It's great to see you in the chat. Check out Allegory Gallery is one of our buddies in the Great Beat Extravaganza. It was actually started by Andrew Thornton and Sarah Ayler. It was their brainchild. We're just happy to be along for the ride. But you can jump over to the Great Beat Extravaganza page and follow everyone, because it is going to be an amazing and fantastic weekend next week. I always learn so much. So thanks for the love on these, you guys. Thank you. We're super happy. And this chain is not Tiara Cast. This is a chain that we carry in our chain collection, and we love it. It's known as book chain, vintage book chain. And we named it Love of Lydia in honor of Janice's mom, Lydia, who set us all, really, it seems like, on our path and love to vintage jewelry. So that's these. And they look great all together. I just love them stacked. So I guess I need to put these down and get to our project, right? So let's do that. So when Emily, I remember when she was, she comes up with these great projects, thankfully. And she had told me, I want to do something that has some macrame to it and some beads. And so she came up with these really great bracelets called Entwined. And you can see this is the one with lapis on, and this is one, I think, with the matte white opal on there. So a 6mm is perfect for these. You could also use either a smaller or a larger bead, but all of the beads have to be consistent across the board with these. Okay, so if this middle strand is 6, these outer strands need to be 6 as well. Okay, and so yeah, Emily will be back. I promise. I keep teasing you with Emily will be back, but she really will be. She's it's been kind of a busy time for her, but we are eagerly awaiting her return. So basically what we do with this, and you can go ahead and download that handout as well, but I'm going to talk you through it. Now, you use 2 sizes of Chinese knotting cord, and you can see I've got the teal right here. You need the 0.5 and the 0.8, okay? And so what you do here is the 0.5 is the base, right, that you string the 6mm beads on. So you need to make sure that the 6 mils that you're using will fit onto this 0.5mm cord. These Druks, the holes are a little bit smaller than these semi-precious. I use 2 different stones. I'm calling the sample Petra that I'm making. You can see this one is all one color. You could do it 2 different colors, 3 different colors, whatever you want. You know, go back and forth, pattern it however you like it to be. So the 0.5mm here, you're going to cut 3 of these pieces at 18 inches, right? 1, 2, and 3. And then what you're going to do, so it's easy to string these beads on, you're going to get the zap glue like you've seen me do before. I put it on a little baggie, and I've got that baggie, I don't know, was sitting here. I put the zap on the baggie like this, run my thread through it so it stiffens the end. And can you see how I have cut like a little angle? So it makes it really easy for me to slide those 6mm on. If you don't have the end of this CKC stiffened, you're going to struggle a little bit stringing these beads. Okay, let me lift this up a bit so you can see here how I've used a clamper to clamp here. And then I've clamped all 3 down here at this end, right? So it's ready to go. Then what you do is you clamp, we've clamped these on, right? Like this. And you can, you know, I just kind of lay them all flat. Then I cut my 0.8mm threads right here, okay? And the 0.8, you cut 2 yards, find the center, and do that flat macrame here on the end to be like the little header of the bracelet. Can you see that right there? And you could make this a little bit longer if you wanted fewer beads in the center, right? Whatever you like, right? And again, you can use smaller beads, larger beads, as long as the beads are consistent. So what you want to do, I'm actually going to take these out here real quick, and I'll tie 2 more knots. I'll make this just a little bit longer. So you just go along and you do your flat macrame, and we've got that skill builder, but essentially, right, you make your loop here, you get your strand, that's with the left side, with the right side, you go over that tail, under the center, and up through the loop, right, like that. Okay, and you just go along until this is kind of the length that you want it to be. You could also do this Bollywood style and bead this, right? Like we do the Bollywood bracelets. We do that beaded macrame around the end. You could add a little, I don't know, flair that way. Now, once you are on the, once you've, you know, done your header here, okay, and again, this is in our skill builder section too, that'll go over, and it's all linked over on the project page over at Bead Shop. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to tie these strands down so that they're nice and stationary, stable on our threads. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to do like my half hitch around the outside. Actually, I want it to be the other way. I want to go under, actually. I knew I was going to make that mistake. There we go. Under. There we go. So there's my little half hitch. So again, I go get my thread, I go underneath my cord through the loop and tighten it up. Okay. So now this first stitch is a little funny, right? It's a little kind of kooky to do. So don't stress about it. Just come in, slide up your first bead. All right. And these strands are going to just kind of sit next to the bead, sort of. Let me get a little bit tighter there so you can really see what's going on. Okay. And again, Emily does a really good job on explaining this on the handout. So it's a great resource for you for this. So now what you're going to do is you're going to slide the bead up that center strand. And then you're going to tie a knot with each strand, going from the right and then the left. Okay. And the strand order, it doesn't really matter as long as you're consistent. But we're going to take this right hand and I'm going to come in and I'm going to tie it around the center strand like this and up so it's tight. Okay. And I'm going to take my left hand one, do the same thing. Bring it around through the loop and up so it's kind of tight. Okay. And these are going to sit here. All right, so we've got our threads ready to go. Now I'm going to slide my outer beads on, okay, like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come with my thread. So I started with my right, so I'm going to go to my right hand side. I'm going to loop that thread through, tighten it up underneath. See that there? Do the same thing over here. Get my thread on the inside of that bead, make my little opening, and slide this up. So I've done the left hand side. I've done the right hand side, then the left hand side. Okay. Now see how there's that little space there? What do? We slide that center bead up. Okay. And I'm starting with my right hand side. So I'll just bring see how the thread just wants to curve? Let it curve. Pull it through the loop. And give it a little wiggle so it tightens. And you want your tension to be fairly consistent here. Okay, so if you need to tighten this up, if this feels a little loose, you can come in. Once you get it established, your tension will fit pretty nicely. But see how I'm going to kind of work that up just a little bit to finagle that tension, and I can do the same thing here. Then I'm going to come in, so that right hand side is tied. I'm going to come in and tie my left hand side underneath it. And up. Okay, there we go. And you can see how that center bead is framed there? So now all we need to do, you guys, is repeat. Okay, so I'm gonna, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone's comments. Good, I think we're good. So now I'm gonna come in and slide up my side beads, right? So see how this comes down? So I'm gonna tie underneath that bead to the right and down. I'm gonna start going a little bit faster and to the left. Oops, not that fast. Come on. Let's pin that back on there. There we go. Clamp it nice and tight so it doesn't flip off like it did for me. So there's those two. Slide this one up to the right underneath and to the left underneath. All right, now the sides. To the right and to the left. And see how the thread just wants to come down. I get my finger in that little open space and I just grab that thread to pull it through. Now there's my center. To the right. I'm pulling it. You could also use a macrame board. I actually think I was going to use the macrame board, and then I had this board all set up, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to just do that. Use my board. But the macrame board would be a good one to use as well. Okay, so there's this one. And you want your base strands to be pretty tight on here so that your macrame is nice and even. Okay. And then I'm going to just keep going. So Janice has a question asked by Donna, can you do more than 3 strands? You know, you probably could. We would need probably maybe this inner strand, and then maybe you would need to add another pair of strands so that they would not, those other ones coming up. It's a good thing to kind of play around with. So without me actually doing it step by step, but I might give that a go. It would be fun to be able to do it a little bit wider, right? And you could maybe, you know how there's this negative space right here between these beads? I could have my other strands come down and maybe I could nestle a smaller bead. This is that 6 millimeter. Maybe I could nestle a 4 millimeter in there. I don't know, but the 6 fit. I'd have to play around with the stitch, but I'm sure it's possible. It would look kind of like this. Right, and you can find the exact beads that I use. This is the Picture Jasper in the 6 millimeter. And then this is I'll tell you, it's the Druk. It's the green, turquoise, bronze Picasso. And you can see here the bracelet. Audrey was asking how it lays. It's curved a little bit, but once you take it, you know, and unpin it and everything, it loosens up a little bit, and so it'll lie fairly flat. Right, here's Emily's sample, and you can see if I put it on my wrist, it's pretty nice and, you know, like this. Okay. So there was another question about the beads, I think. Let me see if I can see what it is. I don't know. There was another question, but I think I'm missing it. But the strands, these 6 millimeters come in 8-inch strands, so you've got plenty. I think you've got enough for 2 bracelets here if you just use them for the center. And then because you need to string, according to Emily's directions, 15 in the center and 14 each on the sides, so that, because the center one, you need 1 more for the top. Okay. So so here it is. So this one comes. And see, I don't want to pull it too tight. I just want to be consistent with my tension here. Okay, so there's that one. Here's this one. Tighten them up. See, I just try and tighten them, just kind of get that tension even. But you're doing this little kind of half hitch around the center, like the beginning of a lark's head knot here, right? So there's that. Pull this one up. So it's it's a pretty easy technique once you've conquered it. I have sometimes a little bit of spatial relationship challenges when I make these, so I want to tie my knot in the opposite direction, so I really have to pay attention when I'm doing this. But once I get it in my head, I know what I'm doing. Okay. So Drew is saying on these that I showed earlier, they call for 2 strands of the 6mm gemstones here. So you would need 2 if you're going to do it all the same. But I like mixing up the color. I think it really adds something to it. And I like this teal CKC. Remember, the base is the 0.5mm. And the what I'm tying with is the 0.8mm. You could also try this, and I haven't tried it with it, but you could try out the 0.5, the 0.5, what do I want to say? Leather cord. You could definitely do that. Okay. And so, Robin, you're asking about, can you just purchase the pattern and not the kit? It's not really a kit. These are your instructions, and the instructions on the web, it's just a handout, right? So you can download the handout, no problem. It's free of charge to you. So it's there if you want it. And a lot of our projects, some don't have handouts, but especially some of our older projects have really amazing handouts. One that comes to mind is Janice's famous color study project. That handout is epic. The tricks to laddering handout, also epic. So you might want to explore when you click on the projects. You might want to explore and see if they have a handout. If they do, you can just download them and save them. I like downloading them as PDFs and putting them on whatever e-reader. I send them actually to my iBooks, so I can read them on my iPad. So I have those as reference. But it's good. So you can see, you continue on here. Okay. And so then I'm going to just talk you through this because it's not real hard, and Emily's handout is really clear about it. When you finish, well, I don't have that many. Let me see. I can actually take the beads off too. Let me just finish tying these, and then I'll show you. Let me go a little bit faster at Kate's speed here. I'm glad you're liking this project. Drea and I were talking about which project or, what to revamp for Free Tip Friday. And we were talking in our meeting that we have. And she's like, yeah, let's do 3D macrame. And I went, yeah, 3D macrame, it's awesome. And in my head, I'm thinking the Entwined project, not the 3D macrame project. And so when I pulled the project and I, put it in our notes and everything, Andrea's like, that's not 3D macrame. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Of course it's 3D macrame. So we have, Drea actually has Emily's 3D macrame project on the books too. So we will, we'll have that one for you, but it was kind of a funny one. So it's similar to this. It's another really great kind of fun and fast project to do. I'm actually going to stop this here. Well, maybe I'll do 2 more, make it a little bit longer. You can make this length, you can make it a little bit shorter or a little bit longer. My tension is also just a hair off, but I'm going to kind of wiggle this thing around once I unclamp it, and it should be okay. So here's this, and here's this one. and I'll slide this one up. Okay, so let me unclamp here. Whoops, right here. And I'm just going to take, let me pull this up. We just need one of these beads to finish. And it's not that much shorter than the other one. You can also like measure this on your wrist. So I would need, I think this is actually going to be pretty good for me. So this will be right here on the front, right? Like this. Okay. And then it's going to come around and come around. So I've got plenty of room here. So this is kind of come apart. So let me take these beads off and let me neaten everything up. And again, you can add or take away beads. Like you can see, I took some beads away. There we go. Let's get this all back into shape. Let me put this this one back in the center. It's kind of good for you to see my screw ups, right? So you can kind of fix what's happening. There we go. I'm going to undo these. Remember how I said a little bit earlier that we want our strands to be nice and taut when we're stringing? This is exactly why you don't want your strands to be loose. So let me get this all back in order. There we go. Okay, so let me see what I need to do. Let me slide those down. Let me come in. That one's tied. That looks good. This is not quite right. There we go. And let me tie this one. Okay, we're back in biz. Okay, I'm going to slide these side ones up, tie it, and tie this side. Okay, and for our final one, we'll come in and I'm going to tie around the center. Again, being consistent, I'm starting with my right and then moving to my left. Okay. Right? So there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to finish the end. Okay. And then I've tied my knots around this center bead, right? Like this. So I'm going to just macrame all the strands. I'm going to pull this in and we're going to macrame here so it matches this end over there. Okay. Let me get back to your comments here. Okay. So I'm going to start with, maybe I'll start with this right hand side. Now I want to also get all of these strands together here, right? So here, and then I'm going to undo these very carefully and pull these in. There we go. And just start my flat macrame. So see, I brought that flat macrame stitch to the right. Now I'm going to go to my left. And you just have to keep the tension even. So there we go. There's my first set. Okay, like this. And now we're going to go back and forth. Done and done. And we're going to make this match the other side. I see there's some discussion in the group here on the YouTube. I think it's in the YouTube channel. about someone's grandson wants them to string them some pearls. It has become a fashion statement for uh, guys to wear pearls, which I love. When I was watching, I love the baseball, and it's escaping me now because my brain isn't as elastic as it used to be. But that great ball player who is wearing, sometimes you see the ball players wearing their big chains and stuff, which is cool. Sometimes you see him wear like paracord things and stuff. Well, he was wearing a giant set of pearls, right? And I was like, dude, yes, that's awesome. And so now it's kind of become a thing, right? Which I love. I love wearing pearls. As you guys know, I love them. And if you look at some of the Renaissance paintings and beyond, right, you see men like Sir Walter Raleigh and his big pearl, dangly pearl earring, right? So I love that pearls are not relegated um, to the realm of the ladies, right? So I say pearls for all. Yes, of course, Jock. I thought it was Jock, right? I love it. So yes, I say do it. Make him that great strand. And you can get some pearls that are kind of, you can get like iris colored blue pearls or gray pearls or whatever and knot them with the dark thread so they have a little bit of drama to them. I say yes. And I just love pearls. So yes, I say pearls for all, my friends. Pearls for all. Um, Now I'm thinking about, pearls and who I'm going to make them for. But here we go. So this is here, like this, right? So this is going to sit here, and you can see this actually fits me pretty well. It has the beads kind of on the top, and then it's real comfortable around the sides with this. And so for the ends here, I'm going to finish this just as I would a regular bracelet that has these closures, right? And I would glue my ends here, glue it, let it sit, and then trim those ends away. What Emily did with these was she, I think, pulled her strands actually back through underneath this knotting. But I would probably just glue it here, let it sit really nicely, then use my thread burner to burn it off. Then here for the center, you saw me do this on the project I did the other day. It's just this sliding, what we call like a little fishtail knot. And essentially what we do is we get our strands here. And you saw me kind of bring all of these underneath like this. And then I tried to lay them fairly flat. And then I clamp it here and clamp it here. So I've got a space to macrame in. Okay, like that. Except these clampers don't want to play nice with me today. There we go. And so I'll get another piece, maybe a little longer than a foot, 14, 15 inches, right? Like that. And then I'm going to come in. These clampers kind of hold everything. Find my center. And then I'll just start that macrame, that flat macrame. We do this with our Bollywood bracelets. We do this with a lot of different bracelets. There's that. So it begins. And go to the right. And you want to do this, so I don't know, 2, 4, 6, maybe 7 knots per side, or 7 full square knots, so a total of 14, 7 to the right, 7 to the left. Maybe it looks like that's what Emily did, but you do what works for you. See how the clampers kind of weight this down? It's a little fiddly. And you could use a macrame board and pin this down nicely. But you just want to make sure that it's nice and firm. You don't want this to be super tight though, right? I mean, you want it to be tight, but this is going to have to slide. So you need to be kind of aware of how to, the tension on this. And also, if this isn't your bag, you're like, yeah, I don't love these adjustable things, right? Or if you're doing this maybe on something that's going to be worn a whole lot or whatever, we've got some little cord crimps. We've got a bunch of different cord ends and stuff that you could just simply cut the piece here, right? Like this, and slide it into one of those crimps and glue it. That would look great, right? That would look really nice. So, so that's what I would do. There's all kinds of endings that you could use. You could also silk wrap this around, the loop of a clasp like this or whatever. So you experiment with some of your favorite closing techniques, and that would work. And so now I would just continue this on down. I'm not going to belabor this because you can see how this is going. And then once you're finished here, we finish it off with the gluing. Be very careful not to let that glue run onto the base of your cords here like this. And then at the end, what Emily did, and I like it a lot, she used our squash blossom bead and she just slid that on the ends of the two cords. Let me undo this. So we've got these two cords coming through here. And come on. There we go. These cords, the base cords coming through, there's actually 3 cords, not 2. And these holes are large enough that you just pop all of these strands right through like that. Okay, and you tie the knot. You can tie a knot above and below, like Emily did, to keep it into place. And these weight it really nicely. And so you can see how that just slides like that. You put it on and then pull this one side at a time to close it up. And that's it. That's all she wrote, right? And it'd be real pretty. I love it. Love it. Love it. So there we have it. Let me make a nice pretty picture for all of you all. I'll get this finished and we'll have the finished one up on the website so you can see it. But you can see there, you can see how the back of this looks, and then the front has the knotting on the front here. And you can see how it's fairly flat as you put it on. And then we've got Emily's piece here, this one here. Okay, so that does it for this fantastic project. It's a good one. I love it. It's really fun, really easy, and it's a great one for you to kind of go into your stash and play around with some sizes. Again, we use 2 sizes of the Chinese knotting cord, the 0.5 and the 0.8, which is nice. Or you could experiment with some other threads that you might have at home. Just make sure that the base cords, what you are stringing your beads on, is hefty enough to kind of hold it and to stand up to all of this knotting. That's all you need. I also wanted to remind you guys that the kits for the Great Bead Extravaganza, my segment on the Great Bead Extravaganza, the expedition kits, have dropped. They are selling, and they're selling fast. Thank you so much. I love that you guys love them, so thank you for that. And then we also had our monthly mix for April drop today. Also limited quantities. So grab yours now if you love this color mix. I love it, love it, love it. Someone's asking how many beads. Let me just give a quick 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 24, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 41. There are 41 beads right on here. Okay, on this. So that is it for me. Let me put me up there. There we go. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody, on this Free Tip Friday, April 1st. It was great fun. So thank you, Emily, for this wonderful project. It was fun to revamp it a little bit for you. Next week, I have another kind of epic necklace project for you. We're going to mix some more leather and beads and a little bit of knotting. I think you guys are going to love it. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned to your newsletters for more more of the details on that. And of course, everybody, you can join us on our social media. Follow us at beadshop.com on Instagram. If you do a project and you are on Insta and you use bead shop materials or it's a bead shop project, go ahead and tag us in it, give us an @ and we would love to re-insta that in our Instagram stories. You can also join us on Facebook at the Bead Table. We've got a great group of everybody over there playing around and showing some really great samples and stuff over there. A lot of great community. And of course, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, you can hit like and subscribe and turn on those notifications so that you never miss a broadcast from us. Do remember that we've got our Spring Fling for the Great Bead Extravaganza coming up. Our preview night is April 8th, and then the show dates are the 9th and the 10th. And you can see I am sandwiched right in there on Saturday between our buddy Candy Cooper and our buddy Jill McKay. I actually go on at 11 a.m. Pacific, and I'm on for an hour. So you'll see me there on that Saturday. That's it. Oh, and I cannot forget, thank you so much for watching. Find all of the information on the project and products from today's broadcast right on our website. You'll find the sample called Petra. Sign up for our newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products. We're always sharing stuff with you via our newsletter. So thanks again, all. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm just double checking to make sure everybody's good. We really appreciate your support of our small business because, as always, without you guys watching out there, we here wouldn't be able to do what we love, and that is sharing creativity and sharing the love of beads. So thanks all, and I will see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.